Wow, that was some New Year's party with all the music and games and cans of pop. Feels like it lasted 2 months. Okay, something like that. I might as well straighten up the place. I mean, they probably left a little bit of a mess around here, so I'm gonna try and straighten it up and make it look a little presentable. But how did they? This is what happens when you invite people over and don't make them clean up afterwards. Why am I always the one stuck doing this? Oh well, okay. Let's get to it, no matter how much I don't want to. Dishes, paper, laundry, I don't even know where to start around its mess. What's this? How did they mess up my DVD collection too? Oh, right. That was my doing. Every animated series and movie seen throughout the year, I totally forgot to put everything back on the shelf. Who doesn't love animation? I mean, heck, what's there not to love? Through the digital animation of modern anime, to the advancements in Flash here in America, and even some older stuff that I just got around to this year, 2011 boasts some of the more diverse selections of films and series in recent memory. Let's see, there was some stuff I started but just kind of put on hold and been meaning to get back to. Or there was rewatchings of shows from a couple years ago, and just because it was that good, it deserved a rewatch. I mean, isn't that the sign of a good show? I even got around to finishing some series I started a while back that desperately needed to be finished. And looks like I'll have a few more to finish as well. Yeah, put that there. There were even a couple of second seasons of shows that I only got around to in 2011. It was kind of hit and miss for a few of them, but overall they were pretty good. Heck, I didn't even start this one. Yeah, shame, everyone said it was really good too. Yeah, something else for next year then. I don't know. Well, whatever the case is, it's clear that 2011 had more than its fair share of great animation. I was thinking, that can't be all of them. I am missing a few sets that are not on the shelf. I have to clean this place up just to find them all. Well, in the case, I don't know what the best animation was of the year, but I don't know, there's quite a few to go through. Frickin' schoolwork. Reading massive amounts of literature from all over history. Writing research papers. Why do they have to be 15 pages long anyway? I don't know. And the ever-daunting task of never having enough caffeine in the morning. Note to self. Invent a larger pop bottle size. But that just comes with the world of school altogether. You can't attend class without a few bouts of insanity here and there. I guess I'm just disappointed that my class didn't feature any gun battles at night, or wild schemes to win someone's affection, or crazy Christmas parties involving sledding on a giant curry dish. Luckily, that's where School Rumble comes in. Yes, School Rumble, the comedy antics of this one Japanese high school, and its many students that vie for each other's affections, handle the struggles of daily classwork, and, just maybe, learn a little about themselves in the process. Even though I'd seen the first season last year, with all the characters and cartoony gags where high school affections and schadenfreude blend together so beautifully, I didn't get around to its second semester till this year, and the events are unique enough to classify it as its own selection at least. And like I said, there were a couple other second seasons, like Magic Knight Rayearth or Spice and Wolf, that I did watch this year, but one of those series couldn't quite reach the success of its first season. School Rumble's second season takes all the fun and silliness of its first season and makes it even better this time around. As far as romantic school comedies in anime go, this one is probably the most relatable in its blend of unrequited emotions that everyone in the cast feels, and unrestrained silly antics that could only be pulled off in animation. Yeah, only animation can make these adventures happen. Slapstick, wild takes, clever timing, and twists on unexpected outcomes when things get just plain silly is all wonderfully spaced out and leads to laughs you only wish could take place in real school settings. Oh, aside from the slapstick, there's really not a lot visually to set it apart from the standard anime style. The designs are unique from one another. although the background characters don't really get much distinction, and it uses its CG minimalistically well, but that's about it. It doesn't really strive to be anything more than a really good romantic comedy, which is all it really should be, now to think of it. There's a lot of fun to be had in the world these characters create, and if that comes at the expense of ranking a bit lower by lacking much extra, then I don't think that's a problem at all. But what makes this an improvement on the first season, and not just a repeat, is that the ensemble cast gets a lot more screen time than the first one allowed, and if you developed your favorite knucklehead from the cast, then this season gives them pretty decent screen time, much more development all around. And not just the main trio of Tenma, Harma, and Karasuma, but also Yakumo, Eri, Makoto, Hanai, Kira, Imadori, Karen, Lala, Sarah. Yeah, this cast is explosive. Just like an actual high school setting, really. I mean, unlike other school comedies that kind of feel empty by focusing on only a few characters, or at best featuring some background students to make the feel school-occupied, School Rumble makes the weight of the class size feel real. It feels like a jam-packed school, and all the characters are much more fun to watch as a response. It's really at its best when everyone gets involved, and their various antics work off of one another with little to no restraint. How was that one episode? Episode 6, Sleeping Beast, Kiss Impossible Finale! Yes, all the episodes are titled like that, where the cast attempts to put on a all-female fairy tale play with sumo guards, mixed-up casting, and impromptu dialogue to keep the show going. And everyone's along for the ride! It may feel episodic in its humor, but watch it in order, and seemingly small events at the beginning trigger huge consequences later on. Again, something that makes this a proper sequel to the first season, rather than an inconsequential cash grab. You really should watch the first season before the second, because it's guaranteed to be a lot more rewarding as the characters' interactions all fit into the bigger plot. Well, plot may be kind of a loose word, but still, it's a really great comedy that was the 10th best animation that I got to see in this year. The exam months just get harder and harder each year, but there are ways to cope with the pressure. Yes, study breaks can include watching cartoons. It really can be a stress reliever. Hey, this is my old high school yearbook. I haven't looked through this in a long time. Well, one series in particular this year that had a certain emotional connection, a good kind of sentimental nature that's very difficult to pull off, did really help me a lot through this semester. But while sentimental memories and tear-jerking moments of the past can be very powerful, I can't say it was entirely consistent here in Anohana. In Anohana, the lives of 5 former friends are broken and empty after their friend Menma dies as a child, leading to their teenage selves to be not that great of shape, really. But when one of them, Jintan, starts seeing Menma again, and is asked by her to bring them all back together, well, you've got a really emotionally driven road ahead. Well, at least it was, for the most part. Wow, I wonder what everyone from school is doing nowadays. You see, unlike School Rumble, where the characters' interactions felt coherent and well thought out, I don't think the creators were as careful in Anohana. When the series began, here's what was being set up. A group of former friends who used to be very close to each other, yet sadly drifted apart, must reconcile their childhood troubles and rekindle their friendship in order to make their own lives meaningful again. That's a very emotionally charged and thought-provoking idea for a show. Certainly something that hasn't been tackled in any other series I've seen. I can think back to friends I used to have in elementary school, ones I was the closest to and always looked forward to seeing each day, but for whatever reason drifted apart as the years went by. It just makes me very sad to wonder why such a cherished friendship could have ended. And for the first half of the show, that's exactly what it does right. Unfortunately, rather than focus on the 6 characters equally, the series loses a lot of its focus when it decides to mostly focus on Menma and Jintan's day-to-day activities, which are adorable, I guess, and they give a good insight to the two, but they don't give as much care to the rest of the cast. Anaru gets decent attention in spurts, and Popo is more subtle about the problems he's trying to cope with, so less problem there. But Yukaitsu and Suroku are painfully underfocused on, and despite drifting further apart from the group, they start interacting with them a bit too easily. The ease at which these characters just come back together isn't really natural enough. There really should have been a bit more awkwardness, like, we haven't been friends for years, those days are gone kind of mentality. I just know that if I called up an elementary school friend who I hadn't seen since then, it would be a lot harder to start up the conversation. It's just awkward in real life. Probably the biggest problem is that there is a shockingly small amount of time actually spent watching the characters' childhood, or seeing how they used to feel for one another as kids, and this really hurts the supposed emotional response that we could have felt as they try to reconcile their problems. In fact, those dozens of cutesy scenes with Menma could have been spent flashbacking to their antics as children, just to help us, the viewers, feel sympathy for a now-lost childhood. It's certainly hinted at in the intro. Now, I'm not saying that Menma's attitude is a problem. In fact, her innocence and genuine sincerity are the closest we get to understanding what their childhood was like. But there's too much focus on her antics than the ensemble or their memories, so how can we feel for their struggles if we don't get to see that much? Okay, so after all that complaining about what the show messed up, why give it attention at all? Because when the series gets its sincerity right, it gets it really right. The best scenes are when the group is remembering good times and becoming better themselves when they rekindle that friendship that made them all happy when they were younger. And just spend the afternoon reliving the fun of time with each other is one of the best parts of the show. And seeing Menma smile at watching her friends being together again is just the best kind of sentiment. Had the series kept that path throughout, instead of becoming more, well, let's just say melodramatic near the end, it could have been so much better. No, it's not bad, it really isn't. Like I said, I've yet to see a series that dives as well into topics like childhood regrets, sentimental nostalgia, and how this can affect your current life, like Anohana. Which, by the way, is a shortened version of the full title, which translates out to, we still don't know the name of the flower we saw that day, but who in their right mind is going to say the whole thing? It kind of stands in a league of its own at the moment, and I really hope that, if it couldn't quite wrap itself up properly, then it may at least remind people to not let unrequited emotions make you into a bitter person. Maybe. Hopefully.